Ryan Cooper believed rules were optional, but every step he took to prove his fearlessness was actually building the case that would destroy him. He wasn't the strongest or the smartest, yet he carried himself as if rules were beneath him. At first, people thought it was just teenage pride, the kind that fades once responsibilities arrive. But with him, it only grew. He cut in front of elders in grocery lines, parked his vehicle wherever he pleased, and laughed when others complained. His behavior was not loud in a dramatic way, but loud in its disrespect. Each ignored warning made him feel more powerful. He enjoyed the looks people gave him, a mix of annoyance and fear, as if he had discovered a loophole in life where consequences didn't apply. He didn't work for anything he owned. Everything was handed to him, and that made him believe effort was for others. He treated rules as limitations designed for ordinary people, and he refused to be ordinary. His online presence began with short clips of him breaking minor regulations and walking away without punishment. The clips didn't show much, just small acts of arrogance, but they gained views quickly. People watched out of curiosity, waiting to see if things would ever go wrong for him. When nothing did, more viewers tuned in. He became proud of the fact that he could do what many feared, not because it was brave, but because it was forbidden. The praise he received online felt more valuable to him than respect in real life. Soon, he started planning ways to make his actions look more impressive. He began staging incidents just to post them later. Even when people recognized him in town, he walked with confidence, as if he was untouchable. The more the community avoided confronting him, the more he believed he had won some silent game. The idea that someone might be watching closely never crossed his mind. He saw life as a platform and himself as the main star, expecting attention without accountability. The town, once peaceful and predictable, slowly changed in tone. People didn't feel safe speaking against him, afraid that their complaints would go nowhere. His name became associated with trouble, yet he continued as if it was a title to be proud of. He believed fear was a form of respect and attention was a form of success. What he failed to notice was that every step he took was leaving a mark. And every mark was slowly building a path that could one day lead him exactly where he never imagined he would end up. As his videos gained more attention, a shift began to take place. What started as entertainment for some became a source of discomfort for others. People who once scrolled past his posts without care began to notice a pattern hiding beneath the surface. Each video was filmed in a different part of the town, and in almost every one, there were signs of disturbance left behind. Damaged property, frightened faces in the background, and unexplained disruptions became common sights. Still, he remained confident, believing that visibility meant safety. In his mind, being seen by many made him untouchable. He started investing more effort into maintaining his image. Each post was edited to showcase his bold attitude, making sure his followers saw only what he wanted them to see. The idea of consequences never entered his thoughts. If any complaint surfaced, he dismissed it as jealousy or boredom from those who had nothing exciting in their lives. Gradually, his actions moved from careless to calculated, not to avoid trouble, but to make his content more thrilling. However, not all viewers were there to cheer. Among his growing audience were quiet observers who noticed details others ignored. A broken sign in one video matched a local report of vandalism. A background building seen briefly in another clip aligned with a complaint about disorderly behavior. These viewers did not comment or draw attention to themselves. Instead, they saved screenshots, marked timestamps, and compared scenes. While he celebrated his rising views, a silent record of his behavior was being formed without his knowledge. Local authorities began receiving anonymous submissions containing evidence tied to his content. At first, they assumed it was coincidence, but the consistency of the reports made it hard to ignore. Each submission connected a video moment to a real-life incident. While he continued to enjoy online fame, his digital footprint was slowly being transformed into a timeline of wrongdoing. The same clips he believed made him popular were now building something else entirely, something far more serious. The town, still silent on the surface, had developed a new awareness. People no longer saw him as just an arrogant show-off. They watched him carefully, not with admiration, but with a growing sense of expectation, as if waiting for an unseen line to finally be crossed. Without realizing it, he had already crossed it. The video that marked a true shift in his story was different from the rest. He uploaded it with a dramatic caption meant to provoke attention, expecting the usual wave of approval. In it, he went beyond minor mischief and moved into a clear breach of law. Instead of leaving behind traces by accident, he left them on purpose, convinced it would boost his reputation as someone who feared nothing. The video spread faster than any of his previous uploads. Some viewers praised his boldness, but others watched with concern. They noticed his confidence had turned into recklessness, and what once looked like arrogance now appeared dangerously unstable. This time, the background details were impossible to ignore. Street signs were clearly visible, and familiar locations were exposed without any attempt to hide them. He believed that revealing these elements made his videos more authentic, not realizing he was giving away everything needed to track him. The silent observers who had been collecting information found this new video to be the missing piece they were waiting for. With it, they could connect nearly all his posts into one continuous chain of activity. Authorities who had been receiving sporadic reports now had a complete timeline. The incidents that once seemed separate began to align perfectly with his uploads. Each video held fragments of truth disguised as entertainment. He continued refreshing his feed, watching the view count rise, unaware that he was also drawing in a new kind of audience, one that was not there to cheer but to confirm evidence. While his supporters left approving reactions, officials reviewed every second with calculated focus. The town felt a change in the atmosphere. People who once avoided speaking about him began to talk quietly among themselves. There was a sense that something was shifting, though no one could see it directly. He, meanwhile, felt stronger than ever. The attention made him believe he had finally proven himself. He mistook silence for acceptance and fear for respect, never considering that silence could also mean preparation. The video he thought would mark the peak of his fame had actually marked the beginning of a process he could no longer control. Each frame of his content was now more than entertainment, it was evidence waiting to surface. The investigation built around him was not loud or visible. It moved slowly, collecting small details that most people would overlook. Officials did not rush to confront him. Instead, they studied his habits, the timing of his uploads, and the locations he favored. Every video he proudly posted became part of a larger structure, a carefully organized sequence that revealed more than he ever intended. While he focused on gaining online reactions, investigators focused on patterns. They noticed that every bold stunt was followed by a post online, and every post carried visual proof that connected him to a growing list of reported disturbances. He continued to appear confident in public. He walked through familiar streets without a hint of caution, still enjoying the attention his online presence brought him. He believed that as long as people watched, he was winning. The town watched too, but their interest had changed. They were no longer reacting with frustration. They had begun observing with quiet certainty, sensing that something was being built around him. Even those who once ignored his behavior could now see that his trail was too clear to remain hidden. Meanwhile, investigators revisited old reports, matching them with clips that showed the exact same scenes. A damaged bench, a marked wall, a scattered set of items on the ground. Things he used as props for his stunts were identical to items noted in official complaints. The more they matched, the stronger the case became. What once seemed like random acts now appeared planned and documented by his own hand. He had unintentionally created a catalog of his actions, each piece neatly labeled with a date and a view count. His follower count kept rising, and he mistook it for proof that he was safe. The applause he received online drowned out any warning signs. He believed that visibility protected him, not realizing that visibility also meant traceability. While he celebrated his growing influence, files were being organized, screenshots labeled, and timelines confirmed. Even his comments section, filled with praises and reactions, was archived as supporting material. The same audience he entertained had unknowingly become witnesses without ever stepping forward. The town that once felt powerless had shifted into quiet anticipation. There was no need for confrontation or public outrage. Everything needed to hold him accountable was already in plain sight, placed there by the person who believed he could never be touched. The final shift came without warning. One morning, his channel, usually active and loud, remained silent. There was no new upload, no teasing caption, no sign of his usual presence. Instead, news began spreading through social platforms and local whispers that a detailed case had been officially filed against him. What he believed to be harmless content had been transformed into a complete record of his actions, carefully arranged and supported with every clip he posted. His followers, once vocal and energetic, fell quiet. Many removed their reactions, cleared past comments, and pretended they had never supported him. The praise that once surrounded him dissolved into distance and denial. Authorities released a summary of the case, outlining each documented incident tied directly to his online posts. The timeline was undeniable, supported by footage he had willingly published. There were no dramatic confrontations or sudden chases. Instead, it felt like a quiet closing of a door that had been open for far too long. He had thought that avoiding consequences meant he was winning, but in reality, the process had simply taken time. The town that once seemed silent had been watching, recording, and waiting. His presence online became evidence rather than entertainment. Each video, once filled with confidence, now looked different through the eyes of viewers. The same actions that once drew excitement now appeared careless and exposed. Even those who admired his boldness could no longer argue when every piece of proof came from his own recordings. The illusion of being above rules faded the moment reality stepped in, and the title he had claimed for himself began to feel hollow. People in the town slowly returned to their routines, but with a new understanding. They had witnessed how someone could build their own downfall while believing they were untouchable. No major announcement marked the end of his influence. It ended in silence, replaced by a quiet sense of order. Returning, the platform he used for attention moved on without him, proving that online fame could disappear as quickly as it appeared. In the end, he was not defeated by force, but by the weight of his own actions recorded in plain sight. His story became a reminder that being seen is not the same as being respected, and leaving a mark on the world means more than just being noticed.